They can bite you, they can inject you with poison, they can kill you. But they usually give you warning, don't they? Mm-hmm. Yeah. The Vaticanus Codex antedates the entrance of the first Spaniards into Mexico and depicts traditions much older than that date. From these facts, it seems reasonably certain that the Zantamoc were November meteors, whose falling hair referred to the fiery... But the Mexicans seem to have distinguished between the different meteor groups, for they refer to the fall on the day... Therefore, to refer to torrid meteors, the end of the world would naturally be associated with the memory of one of the great meteoric showers during November, when all the stars seem to fall from
the Russian
sky.
scientific expedition made an amazing discovery.
Hagar,
After drilling 2,000 meters into the ice shelf, they'd break into a cavern and discover freshwater lakes.
Was placed
Much to
on
their
the stucco
surprise,
facade of
these
a
lakes
mound,
were not frozen.
probably long prior to the coming of the Spaniards. It was probably at least 600 years old when it was exhumed. On this zodiac, which represents the signs in regular sequence, the position of Taurus is occupied by two panels, the lower of which represents the rattle of a snake. It is Tzabek, the rattle asterism, our Pleiades. The upper panel contains a down-flying, semi-human or ape-like figure. Beside his tail are star symbols, and above his head, spears or arrows, implements of war, which in the Kaholi festival represent the end of the world, marked by the fall of the sun. This might also probably refers to a torrid meteor emanating from Taurus in November, when that asteroid is near the meridian. See from that stucco facade, we see the diving monkey figure on the stucco relief. Here's the rattlesnake glyph. Up here, this is interesting because associated with this falling to earth, this is the great urn being overturned and pouring out the waters of the flood onto the earth. And here is a Christian depiction of the same ideal, but in this case it's Lucifer, bound and fallen. This is in Rosslyn Chapel. And this opens up some other completely alternate meanings for the identity of Lucifer. Many depictions on cathedrals, medieval cathedrals, have diving figures. The skydiver from Autun Cathedral. Here we have the Dresden Codex, a torchbearer or beast beneath a celestial dragon strip. Two torches down towards the earth, flaming torches, I think. One, the flaming torch is directed towards the earth, the other it's directed towards the sky. And here we have ancient Roman traditions, Mithraeus, from the Mithraic traditions, and these were the two torchbearers that were seen to accompany the god Mithras, and they always held each a torch, one pointed up towards the sky, the other one pointed down towards the earth. So let's talk a little bit about the torrid meteor stream. We won't go into a lot of this. We'll skip over some of this. These are accounts of encounters with the torrid meteor stream. I'll start with some work by astronomer Fred Whipple, published in 1948. It was the first photo meteor. He focused on the torrid shower. This was published in the Proceedings of the American Philosophical Society, 1940. The present paper is a study of 14 meteors photographed at the northern stations of the Harvard Observatory. 13 photographed in 1937 and one in 1938. The meteors all belong to or are associated with the torch. The total interval of the shower, as covered by the present observations, is from October 26th to November 22nd, nearly a month. Now this is because the stream itself is very diffuse, which is a characteristic of old meteor streams because stuff gets spread out. But still it peaks those 3 days, late October and early November. But for the Earth to entirely cross the whole stream, it goes all the way up to the 22nd of November. This unusual persistence of the torrid shower, coupled with the slow daily motion of the radiant, has led Knopf and Hofmeister to conclude that the shower orbits are hyperbolic about the sun. But the present observations show that the orbits are closed and of short period. There have previously been few data concerning the variation of meteor orbits with position within a stream. Because the torrid shower provides such data, the observations are discussed in some detail and the stream identified in origin with Encke's comet. Now, here's the significance of what Whipple discovered. Was he actually took photographic studies of these meteors. The original view was that they were hyperbolic, means that it's open-ended. So if it's open-ended, that means meteors are coming in, going out, and they're not returning. Whipple here, let me go forward to this one. As he says here, the present observations show that the orbits are closed and of short period. In other words, they're not hyperbolic, they're elliptical. So elliptical means short period, they're going to be coming back regularly. And in fact, it works out to be about a little bit more than 3 years. Now, what he did was once you take these photographs, the meteors are tracing out the geometric path of the ellipse. So you can now take these 14 meteors, and if you have enough positions as they're moving forward in the sky, you can now play it in reverse, right? Each meteor is within this stream but has a slightly distinct orbit from the other meteors. But when you play them in reverse, what happens is those meteors all converge on the same point in space, which tells you that they're fragmentations of an object that was once a single object. Further, if you trace that back, it converges on the same point in space occupied by Comet Encke, which tells you, oh, this was byproduct of the disintegration of a disintegration event involving Comet Encke. Let's look at the next graphic here. This shows a radiant point in space. There's two things to appreciate here. The meteors are actually coming in parallel lines, like you see in the graphic below. But when you look at them from our perspective, you don't see parallel lines. They all seem to be emanating from a point. Just think about, you've ever walked down a railroad track or anything where you've had that kind of perspective, or a downtown street where the buildings seem to be converging in the distance. You know that they're not really converging. They're parallel. The perspective, the convergence is an illusion of perspective. And so you can imagine almost like when the Earth is passing through a meteor stream, it's almost like the planet is passing through a tunnel. And the meteors, which ultimately emanated from the disintegration of some parent or progenitor comet, are flying along in more or less parallel lines. We're passing through, and as we look upstream, what we see is this radiant point, the point from which the meteors appear to be emanating in space. The meteors of the torrid stream are not actually coming from the Pleiades. It's an illusion of perspective. But it's a very natural way to associate that point in space where the meteors appear to be emanating with the particular star groupings that fall, that are in line with that point. Does that make sense? Good. Okay. And here's an actual time-lapse photograph of the Leonid meteor shower looking towards the radiant. And so you can see here, if you were to take these meteors and draw them back, you would see that they all converge on this point here that's very close to the star Regulus, which is in the constellation of Leo. And this event peaks on November 17th. So here we have, so here we have a graphic. And this graphic shows the orbit of two Taurid meteors. Now, these two particular meteors sort of lie on the outside range of the stream. They're like near the shoreline of the stream. So what you can get by tracking the orbits of these two Taurid meteors is more or less the region in space that's occupied by the stream. So if we look at this graphic, you'll notice here the sun at the center, and then you'll see Mercury, and you'll see the Earth right here, and then you'll see, that's Venus. Here's Mercury, the inner circle, then Venus, then the Earth, and then we have Mars. And so what you can see here with the meteor stream is that the meteors are moving this way, the way of the arrows. So the arrows are showing the orbits of the planets in that direction. It's like as if we're looking from above down on the solar system. The Taurid stream is also moving more or less in the same direction. Now you see these lines here extending from its most distal point from its orbit around the sun, which is called the aphelion, and its closest point called the perihelion. And you can see that the meteors would be coming in this way, past perihelion right here, and then continue back out like this, almost to the orbit of Jupiter, and then they begin to fall back, towards the sun, and they're doing this about every 3 to 3.5 years, right in here. So now let's go to the next slide, and I've kind of shown some more additional detail. So here's Earth's orbit. Now what you can see from this is Earth is crossing the stream twice, right? One time as it's coming from around the sun, and again as it's coming in towards the sun. So at this point, at this crossing, the meteors. The reason? Well, because they're coming from the direction of the sun. So, right? Now, this happens June 30th. Now, before we come around, do you know a significant event that happened on June 30th? You've heard of Tunguska. A meteorite came in and blew up in the Siberian atmosphere about 5 miles above the ground. And it happened on June 30th. And guess what? The direction it came from? Well, it was not seen until the last minute because it appeared to be coming directly from the sun. And in fact, some of the eyewitnesses who first saw it commented things like, said it looked like it was being born out of the sun or disgorged from the sun. So the Tunguska event of 1908 that blew up in the Siberian atmosphere 5 miles above the ground with the force of a 15 to 20 megaton hydrogen bomb utterly devastated about 820 square miles of old-growth towers, completely scorched and incinerated about 200 square miles directly under the epicenter, left scars that were still there 20 years later and were finally discovered and investigated by scientists. The timing and the placement, both being consistent with that object being a member of the Taurid stream. In other words, the summertime Taurids were at the peak of the summertime Taurids, crossing that stream, and it's coming directly out of the sky from that point in space where the stream would be emanating. Now, you come on around, Earth is moving this way through its orbit. This is in June, so now you're going through the summer, you come around, you're into the fall, and here we are at November 1st. And now, if you happen to look up the stream on that day, you're looking in the direction of this green arrow directly towards the Pleiades. You begin to get to see the geometry here of how this works. So now we get to the work of Victor Klube and Bill Napier, The Cosmic Winter, published in 1990. As noted, very few comets present any danger to the Earth, but the occasional giant comet that is trapped in an Earth-crossing orbit of short period rapidly develops in such a manner as to intermittently generate a substantial swarm of bodies, which are commonly asteroidal. The giant comets recur at intervals of about 100,000 years during a shower, whilst the terrestrial encounters with the asteroidal swarms, which may continue for a century or two, recur at intervals of about a millennium. Between the 3rd and 15th of November each year, the Earth runs through a meteor stream coming from a small area in the constellation of Taurus the Bull. A young stream made up of meteors not long released from their parent comet would be narrow and probably strong, and the Earth would pass through it in half a day or so. The Geminid meteor stream is one such, the Earth encountering it on the 10th of December each year and the shower being over by the 12th of December. The Taurid meteor stream, on the other hand, takes the Earth 12 days to cross, and it is not very intense. It looks old. It has two main branches, northern and southern, emerging from slightly different parts of the constellations, the branches being about equal intensity. Orbiting with the Taurid meteor stream is a small comet, discovered in 1818 by Pons. An orbit was calculated for this comet by Johann Encke, a pupil of the famous mathematician Gauss, who had developed a method for calculating the orbits of bodies from their movement across the sky. There are about 100 known short periods of comets. All of these, with the sole exception of Encke's comet, are in orbits which sooner or later lead to a close encounter with Jupiter and ejection from the solar system by the powerful gravitational pull of that planet. But Encke's comet has somehow established itself in a stable orbit, such that it never comes within the Jovian sphere of influence. It does, however, come close to Earth. In addition, there may be 1,000 or 2,000 asteroids over a kilometer across in orbits which make them a potential collision hazard with the Earth. None is more than about 10 kilometers across, their surfaces extremely dark, and fewer than 50 have been discovered. They are known as Apollo asteroids, after the prototype discovered in 1932. Encke's comet is, in fact, the sole example of an active comet in an Apollo orbit. The orbit is highly elongated, and the comet may approach to within 0.34 astronomical units of the Sun, and go out to 4.1 astronomical units. The comet's orbit is inclined at only 12 degrees to that of the Earth's. This low inclination and the shortness of the orbital period ensure that there is frequent interaction between the Earth and the material of the Taurid stream, and the potential for occasional, very close encounters with Encke's comet. On the face of it, then, the Taurids seem to be an elderly, diffuse meteor stream with no peculiar characteristics other than their association with a comet in an unusual orbit and just too faint to be seen with the naked eye. There is much more to the Taurid stream, however, than this. In a study of fireball records from the 1st to the 15th centuries A.D., the astronomers Astapovich and Taranteva found that the fireball flux from the Taurids was much more intense 1,000 years ago. The Soviet astronomers found the Taurids were the most powerful shower of the year in the 11th century, with 42 fireballs belonging to them, and no shower, not even the great ones, could be compared with them as to activity. In the not-too-distant past, therefore, the Taurids were revealing themselves as outstanding performers in the night sky. Two recent discoveries confirm the suspicion that the stream is a remarkable one. The first of these is that amongst the 80 or so known Apollos, 6 or 7 are orbiting within the Taurid meteor stream. There are some interesting objects. Hephaestus, for example, is the largest known Apollo asteroid, being about 10 kilometers in diameter. Its orbit closely resembles that of the comets. Then there is Old Giotto, a dark asteroid about 1.5 kilometers across. Now, it is very unlikely that these bodies are the only ones orbiting within the Taurid meteors. Discovery of the Apollo asteroids as a whole is only about 5% complete. We are therefore led to the remarkable conclusion that there are between 1 and 200 asteroids of more than a kilometer diameter orbiting within the Taurid meteor stream. It seems clear that we are looking at debris, the breakup of an extremely large object. From Meteorite Falls in June, 2 sets of observations which appeared in the Journal of Geophysical Research in 1996. And this